Alright guys, I love showing you these, strange little gaming toys. These plug-and-play TV things, like I said, they came around, about 6-7 years ago, and they were fairly popular for a little while. This one, however, really caught my eye, as it's a Sega Genesis. Well, a really teeny tiny Sega Genesis. This is actually the Radica Sega Genesis 6-in-1. They did a few of these. With different games inside. I believe they even had one with 2 controllers. Unfortunately, with this you only have 1 controller, and like I said, 6 built-in games. I saw this in a pawn shop for like $6, and I thought it was really funny looking, a little tiny Sega Genesis, so I thought that was pretty cool. And B, I wanted to pick it up for a few reasons. One is, well, to show you guys, and if it's utter crap, we can have a little laugh and make fun of it. But it might be surprisingly good. What games are inside? I didn't know. It's going to be a surprise. Like most of the TV plug-in games, it does run off batteries. This one takes 4 AA batteries here, but oddly enough, it does have an AC adapter option for it. As you can see, it has simple composite AV, only mono. We all know the Genesis is capable of stereo sound. Some people might be misled to believing it's mono because of all these damn clone systems. And, this is not the first Sega Genesis sort of clone. Call it a Nintendo on a chip, or NOAC. We remember the Famicom clones, like the Yobo FC that I have and have shown. We've all seen those. They call them Nintendo on a chip, or NOAC, because basically they have one RISC processor inside here that's fast enough to run basically emulation software. And that's how these things work. These things are like a single chip that's running emulation software, and that emulation software can read the ROMs and play the ROMs, whether those ROMs are on a cartridge or there's 6 of them built onto a chip. Doesn't really make a difference. But yeah, I don't think it's going to work on there. Now, I've seen some people that have modded these with the cartridge slot, and the cartridge slot is actually wider than the system itself, which gives you a good idea of how small this thing is. But yeah, it's basically, emulation on a chip. There's been a lot of different Sega Genesis clones, cheap clones that use a similar emulation on a chip, and perhaps similar software to emulate the ROMs, and they all have the same issue. They all have horrible sound. 1 power button, and it actually has a power LED, something the Genesis 3 didn't even manage.
So here we go, you can see the Radica screen, generic Sega screen, and here's the main menu. We got 6 games on here: Sonic the Hedgehog 2, The Ooze, Gain Ground, Ecco the Dolphin, Columns, and Alex Kidd in Enchanted Castle. Start with the obvious, start with Sonic 2. So far, we're off to a good start. The music doesn't sound perfect, but it doesn't sound too bad. But then we start playing the game. Just like the Blaze Mega Drive that Super Dan 88 reviewed, it has the exact same sound issue. The sound of the coins is, well, it makes your ears want to bleed, let's just put it that way. The sound of the coins has this awful distortion to it. And then the other thing you'll notice is when Sonic jumps, it's supposed to make this sound like boing, boing, boing. You can't hear Sonic jump. That's the exact same thing that Super Dan 88 noticed on the Blaze Mega Drive. So I really do think that they're using the same emulation on a chip. Even though this one doesn't have a cartridge slot and that one does, like I said, that really doesn't make a difference. The ROM files are there, and this thing reads the ROM files, whether they're on a cartridge or on the chip built into the machine. I think they're using the same hardware and software inside. So anyways, you can hit the menu button right on the Genesis controller, beside the start button. And we can try another game. Now, like I said, I've never played this game before, this Ooze game, but I'll tell you right now, the music probably is not supposed to be this bad. The music in this one comes out really, really bad. So much distortion in the music. I mean, it's like when you crank a preamp up way too high and it starts distorting. It's like they left it there. It's awful. The music is just awful. Now, granted, if you already owned a Sega Genesis and you were into vintage gaming, you wouldn't buy this thinking it's going to be anything special. Obviously, it only has 6 games in it. It's a TV game after all. It's Ecco the Dolphin. Once again, a game I never really got into. I never could get into Ecco the Dolphin. It's a weird game. I have to admit, I almost don't know what to do in this game. I mean, yes, I'm this dolphin, and I can swim around. It has nice graphics for the time, and it has this really nice soothing music that probably didn't come out too well on this Radica machine once again. And you can use your sonar to sort of map out where you are, and also talk to other animals. There's a lot of exploring. It's probably a neat game if you can get into it. I've just never been able to get into it. I never really know where I'm supposed to be going or what I'm supposed to be doing. Maybe if I had the book for it, I could figure it out. Now, I remember Alex Kidd on the Sega Master System, but I've never actually played Alex Kidd on the Sega Genesis before. Like I said, this was definitely an early Sega Genesis game. And yeah, I'm off to a great start. Now, the music in this one isn't so good to begin with, but I think you can still tell that there's a little bit of distortion and sort of the background beat there. The main harmony sounds fine, but that lower, bassier background beat thing sounds like it's all screwed up. So once again, some of the sounds come through fine, while others clearly don't. Just like all those other Blaze Mega Drives and all this stuff. I never saw the point of these Blaze Mega Drives. I mean, Genesis systems are a dime a dozen. They're so cheap, they haven't really gone up in price like the Super Nintendo and Nintendo have. I mean, I can pick up a Genesis Model 2 easily for $10 or $15 any given day. I guarantee you, any given day I could go out and find in a pawn shop or in a Value Village or in a classified ads a super cheap Model 2. So I don't see why people want to spend $30 on these clone systems. And they all have this rubbish sound. You can get the real thing for cheaper. But, like I said, I didn't buy this expecting that to happen. I pretty much knew the sound was going to be crap. And it is. So, it's a neat little toy. Rubbish sound.